Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back, and it is Sunday, January 19th, and it is 9:13 p.m. Eastern Time. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting into the second part, or the second half of part 4, which I just put entitled B part so that, we'll differentiate it. So we're going to do that, and that will take us up to the end of year 2018. Then my next video will, which probably on this topic won't be for another 2 days, is going to be the 2019 entries. And then we're going to cover 1920 naturally. All right, so let's pick up from where we left off in the last video. And if you haven't seen part 1 of the entire series, I mean the very first one, I would suggest you do it. If you're jumping in now on this one, you're going to be like, what the heck is this? And that's exactly what I would think. So anyway, all right, let's get started. And I do have a couple people to thank, but I'm going to thank them in the next video that I'm going to do, which is a news video. So there you go. And let's start. All right, September 2018. Just a moment. I just want to make sure, because I have had issues in the past, that it's recording. I don't know, just popped into my head that it might not be. All right. So, Shem Yaza, rejoice on Mount Hermon, kiss the new dawn, for all is prepared. This was posted on September 26, 2018. Or, I know everyone keeps reminding me that this is a WordPress site and these could be backdated. Yes, indeed they could. These could have been posted after the fact. I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying, why is everyone so upset because I want to look into this? And people, just keep emailing me and comments and everything like, this has been debunked, right? No, I don't know any such thing because I haven't heard any explanations that would absolutely, definitively count it as a LARP. Now, yes, the fact that it's a new website, but my guess is they opened this website in the hopes that others would come across it. And somebody did. It's been sitting out there for a long time, not garnering any attention whatsoever. And somebody found it. And obviously, they're not too upset about it. They took it down, but they put it back up. So they are wanting to communicate with us, whoever they are, for whatever reason. So my guess is that this was underground, and for some reason, it is now coming out in the open. I think they made that website. These are probably posts that were somewhere else before this word site. I don't know. Like I said, I'm looking into it, and I don't think there's any harm in that. I'm not trying to get anyone pulled off, and I've seen several posts saying that I am paid opposition. Well, if I'm paid opposition, show me the money. Like, nobody can buy me. I'm not for sale. I am not for sale. So you can believe that or not believe it, but I am definitely not paid by anyone. The only thing I get money from are supporters that will, buy me a coffee, or Patreon supporters. I don't get any advertising money or outside money from anyone, just to settle that. All right. Okay, let's look into this now. Shem Yaza, who is that? That's the very first thing that we need to look into, and that's what we're going to do. Hopefully. All right, Shem Yaza is the leader of the Watchers. Now, if you, the Watchers, I believe the Watchers are the Anunnaki or whatever you call it. Anunnaki, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And they have been around since before the flood. But Shamyaza was one of the leaders of the Watchers who came to cohabit with women. And yes, the Bible does say that that these angels procreated with women. Many say that that is where they got the giants that are mentioned in the Bible, and they have uncovered bones of giants, but this is always kept hidden for whatever reason. I don't know, but the Bible does say that before the Lord comes back, it will be just like the days of Noah. Well, what was happening in the days of Noah? There were these half human, half angel, the bad angels, the fallen angels, that were cohabiting with women, or that was the result of them cohabiting with women, and they are referred to as the Watchers. So Shamyaza was one of the leaders of the Watchers who came to cohabit with women. The name Samyaza can be translated into the name of Uzzah or Uzzah, which in turn means strength. Other spellings include, and it lists some other spellings for this name. According to the book of Enoch, now a lot of people discount the book of Enoch because it's not in the official canon of scripture, but that doesn't mean that there isn't interesting things that we can garner from that book. I believe it was, Jesus quoted from the book of Enoch. So it was around in Jesus' day, and he didn't discount it. He didn't say, be careful of this book. It's not, true. Which I'm sure he might have instead of quoting from it, which actually leads one to think that he agreed with the content. I don't know, but that's just my theory. According to the book of Enoch, Samyaza was the leader of the Watchers that became fallen angels because they were consumed with lust for mortal women. Now, I don't know if they became fallen women because they were consumed with lust. I really believe that they were fallen before that happened. And Samyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, that not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And that is the book of Enoch 6 verses 3 to 5. The Watcher is associated with Aziel, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that, to tell you the truth. According to the Zohar, he had an affair with one of the daughters of Ed. Okay, well, I don't believe that, and I don't believe the Zohar, but that's just my opinion. So Shamyaza is the Watcher who taught humans root cutting, sorceries, and enchantment. He is referred to as the Luciferian witch father and initiator. He is a very powerful spirit with the power and knowledge of the explicit name of creation. Due to his knowledge, he was able to ascend into the spirit world at will. I don't know about that. He was enamored with a maiden named Istar. He taught her the hidden name of God, or the mindless force of power, which is declared by the Jewish. I don't believe that there is a mindless force of power. It's quite evident that this is an intelligent creation and didn't just happen. It's not happenstance. And any good mathematician should be able to tell you that the world is intricately and mathematically so entwined. Everything that has been created. Really, if you start looking into the theory behind math, then you become a believer real fast. At least I was a believer when I was looking into the theory behind math and some of these mathematical theories. I took a course on math theory, and but I remember thinking, and I know a lot of my classmates were like, wow, this proves that it's intelligent design. But you are, of course, able to believe and free to believe what you wish. But this is who this is. In the Luciferian tarot, Shemyaza is found on the Knights of Pentacles. He is symbolized as a man wearing a green robe, which represents his knowledge of the earth. He has a burning eye and is usually seen holding a knife on his belt and holding roots with a pentacle shield. So, yeah. I don't know if we need to go into any more of that, but he is the head of the Watchers, which is the fallen angels. And so I would say that he would be Lucifer, personally, or a, there's many, many names for Lucifer, just like there's many names for all the gods, the small g. They all originated around the same place, around the same time, and they were taken when the people were dispersed into the earth. They took the name of the god, but because there were other people out there that spoke different languages, the name of their god got translated into, and different names got, got spread. Just like Baal, there's a million names for the god Baal. So anyway, Moloch being one. All right. So that is who Shemyaza is, and that is the title of this post. And rejoice on Mount Hermon. Kiss the new dawn, for all is prepared. Now, Mount Hermon, if you are a believer, if not, it still has significance, but if you are a believer, then it has special significance, because that is the Mount of Transfiguration. That is where Jesus went up in the clouds and said, just as you've seen me go, you will see me come again, the second coming. He is coming here physically on earth in the second coming, and he will put a foot on Mount Hermon, because as he went, that's the way he will return. So let's take a look. All right. So Jesus is changed on the slopes of Mount Hermon. This is Mark 9, 2-13. 6 days after his momentous declaration, Jesus takes his three closest disciples, Peter, James, and John, onto a high mountain where his appearance is changed or transfigured. His face shines brightly and his clothes become dazzling white. This is just an interpretation of the Bible. This is not actual Bible. Anyway, his face shines brightly and his clothes become dazzling white, while Moses and Elijah, representing the Jewish lawgivers and the prophets, are seen by the disciples talking with Jesus. A cloud envelops the snow-topped mountain, and God's voice is heard, saying, "This is my son whom I love. Listen to him." And let me see. Says the significance of the transfiguration of Jesus may appear obscure to modern readers, but to Jewish observers, its meaning was quite clear. In the Old Testament, the glory of the Lord, the Shekinah, the radiant shining presence of God himself, had appeared to Moses on Mount Sinai and had later filled the temple in Jerusalem. When Jesus was born, the glory of the Lord, the same radiant shining presence of God, appeared to the shepherds in the fields outside Bethlehem, indicating that God's presence had come on earth again. On the high mountain where Jesus took his three closest followers, the glory of the Lord, the same shining presence of God, appeared again to Moses, just as on Mount Sinai, but this time it was Jesus who reflected the glory of God, the personal presence of God in himself. So that is also called the Mount of Transfiguration, because that is, he was changed, he was taken to heaven. Here he went back to heaven, and he will return in likewise manner. If you are a believer, well, even if you're not, I believe this is fact, but I agree to disagree. So just because this may not be your frame of focus, that's okay. We'll agree to disagree. That's perfectly okay. All right, now let's go back So it's interesting, and let's see what kiss the new dawn, for all is prepared. Now, that could mean greeting the new dawn, but kiss means another word here, I believe. Let's look at this. It says, and this is the verse that I thought of as soon as I read that. Kiss the Son. This is Psalm 2:12. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish in the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are those who have put their trust in him. And the question beneath this is an important one. What does it mean to kiss the Son? Well, we're going to find out. And this is a good answer, very good answer. According to the Jewish Encyclopedia, there were many different types of kissing with various meanings. The kiss of the Son seems to imply great reverence and may have invoked kissing his hand or foot. Kissing the feet is mentioned in the New Testament in Luke 7 verse 45, and probably is referred to in the Old Testament by the metaphorical expression to lick the dust, seems to imply actual contact between feet and lips. The same reverence shown towards a king. Now, this is the important thing. The same reverence shown toward a king or conqueror was displayed toward gods as represented by their idols and symbols. Schwally suggests that the kiss given by Joseph to Jacob when he saw his father was dead was the nature of worship of a divine being, as in Hosea 13:2, where reference is made to those when sacrificing kissed the golden calf. So it's part of worship. To kiss the dawn means you're worshiping the dawn. There's a lot of people that sun worship isn't just people laying on the beach and worshiping the sun. There are people that worship the sun, and that symbolic of a false god, and that's what I believe this is referring to. So worshiping the dawn, or kissing the dawn, is worship. So let's go back here. I hope I'm explaining this all right. So rejoice on Mount Hermon. Worship the new dawn. Now, what is the new dawn? This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Remember that? Well, this is a new age thing, and I believe it is the worship of the false Christ. For all is prepared. That is what I believe. That is my interpretation only. Now, there are others out there, and it's funny listening to people talk about me because it's just odd. But I saw one video where someone was saying, well, all of this stuff is way over her head because she's coming at this from more of a biblical view, and she doesn't take into consideration extraterrestrial beings and the astral plane and all this stuff. Well, yeah, I do believe in extraterrestrial beings. I believe they are the Watchers. They are the demons. They're not just demons. They are kind of different than just the demons. But anyway, yeah. And, in terms of all the rest, yeah, if you want to find somebody that is going to approach this on a different level, then I'm not the one. And that's fine because, I can't change what I am and what I believe. So that is what I believe that is. You may have a different interpretation, and that is fine. There are many that commented on the first part A, and really good information. Now, I haven't been able to read through all of them, but some people had really good information that I wrote down as I was going through the comments, because they added so much more. And perhaps when we get all finished, I'll come back and hit on some of this stuff. But let's go on now. And this is interesting because, now this is why I think this is the worship of the false Christ, because Mount Hermon is important hermeneutically. You know, it's very important because that is not only the mountain by which the Lord ascended to heaven, but it is the mountain the Lord will descend from heaven in his second coming. So it's important, Mount Hermon, and important both to the occult and to Christians. And it's interesting because this was posted on September 26, 2018. And I know what you're saying. Well, what else happened on September 26, 2018 that has to do with false worship or worship of a false god? Well, on the 26th of September 2018, the Institute for Digital Archaeology unveiled a replica of Palmyra, Syria's iconic triumphal arch on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The following day, it's also known as the Arch of Baal. The following day, which is the same as Moloch, the following day, Christine Blasey Ford and Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee about sexual assault allegations. Now, this person that I got this from has tied these two things together. I don't necessarily think they're tied together at all. I think that, the key cities were key to this spiritual fight we're in, and we definitely are in spiritual warfare, then I think that whatever it was a replica of the Arch of Baal, or whatever you want to call it. It went to different cities, and I believe those cities are key to their plans. So it says, although these two events have little connection to one another other than taking place in the same city, websites such as End of the American Dream published articles which questioned the coincidental timing of the Arch's appearance in Washington. Well, I think that in light of this post, it's interesting, very interesting. It happened on the same day. Rejoice on Mount Hermon, kiss the new dawn, for all is prepared. And let's look at this. This is the Arch of Baal. That is probably what most people know it by. Now, let's take a look at this. To make a long story short, Palmyra's Arch of Triumph was built by the Romans in the 3rd century AD, and it served as an entrance to the Temple of Baal or Moloch or Marduk. Has a major amount of names attached to this one god, small g. So Baal was one of the many names for the ancient Babylonian god Marduk, who was created in the Enuma Elish, an ancient mythical tale on 7 clay tablets. Marduk was portrayed as the victor of a heavenly battle and thus became the god of gods. The name Bel simply means Lord, so it was adapted to many gods. The Canaanite spelling Baal, B-A-A-L, is used in the Bible. Marduk was also the first god that humans concocted through a story rather than being a physical object such as the sun, moon, earth, etc., which is why I think Babylon is referred to in Revelation as the mother of prostitutes and abominations of the earth in Revelation 17:5. Anyway, Palmyra's Temple of Baal was converted to a Christian church by the Romans and later became an Islamic mosque used by the Muslims. It was destroyed by ISIS in 2015. The Arch of Triumph at the entrance was the last to be destroyed in October 2015, yet by being destroyed, it has become even more well-known and is making a comeback in the end times, which is not surprising because I've always thought that Marduk was the foreign god in the post-rapture verses of Daniel 11:37-39. The Institute for Digital Archaeology, based in the UK, along with partners such as Dubai Future Foundations and UNESCO created the Arch of Bale using 3D technology and a robotic drilling machine to carve a 2/3 scale model out of the Egyptian marble. They originally happened to be 27 feet tall, so a perfect 0.666 scale model out of Egyptian, and this was carved out of Egyptian marble. 0.666 scale model turned out to be 18 feet, or 6 plus 6 plus 6. Of course, those same two numbers which are used to calculate the number of the beast in Revelation 13:18, which leads to God's timeline of whatever, 37s. I don't know what he's talking about there, but so, and there was also one of these arches set up in London. Now it says the construction dimensions are only part of the story because the arch was created to make a world tour, and the timing and locations have turned out to be very interesting. Which the Arch of Triumph made its debut in London Trafalgar Square on April 19 to 21, 2016, which coincided with the start of Beltane, an important pagan holiday on the Satanic calendar. Next, it appeared in New York City at City Park Hall on September 18 to 24, 2016, which coincided with the UN General Assembly, plus the fall equinox, which is also considered a Satanic holiday. Finally, it was set up in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, which happened to coincide with the World Governments Summit. From there, it went to Florence, Italy, March 27 to April 27, 2017, which coincided with the first ever G7 Cultural Summit, formerly the G8, but Russia was dropped. The culture ministers from US, Germany, Japan, France, UK, Italy, and Canada were in attendance. From there, it stayed in Arona, Italy for a long time. The Arch of Bale was recently displayed on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., September 26 to 29, which once again corresponded to the UN General Assembly. From there, according to breaking Israeli news, it's supposed to be set up for 1 month starting October 17th, 2018, next to the International Criminal Court, which is in The Hague, Netherlands. Before the Arch of Bale has been set up during a major satanic holiday, the Arch of Bale has been set up during a major satanic holiday and at least 4 world summits. I don't know if Satan has accomplished anything with this pagan symbol, but it seems like he's trying. So that is interesting, and there's a lot more to that Arch of Bale, a lot more, but I think that gives us kind of an overview. So we can go back, sorry about that, and let's go back. So that is exactly what I believe this post is referring to, is the setting up of the entrance to the Temple of Baal, or the Arch of Entry, or whatever you wish to call it. That's what I believe that's talking about, but I could be wrong. Certainly I could be wrong. And, there could be many interpretations, because I do believe that some of this stuff has more than one application, if you know what I mean. And of course you do. All right, let's go on now to the next. And we are at this one, September 14th. This was posted. And again, with the pig collar. And it's simply titled Pig Collar. Pleasures of the flesh on a pig summer night. The past is foggy, but the present is bright. Sleek ones and fat ones, hush, don't you cry. Lovely rooters squeal when the collar is nigh. Again, it was posted on September 14th, 2018. I've had a lot of people comment on what they think the pig collar is referring to, and I must say, I don't know. So keep the suggestions coming, because we're all in this together. We are the news now, and that is plural. I don't think there should be any stars in this. There may be some people that are, simply more visible because they're online, on YouTube or what have you, but that doesn't mean that, they're the only ones. I mean, it takes everyone looking at this stuff and offer suggestions of what you think. Or if you happen to have concrete evidence, that would be great too. Now let's go on, because I'm not willing to take a stab, so to speak, at the pig collar. All right, now this is Lost Lullaby, and we know that some of these posts have mentioned Lost Lullaby. It is certainly, I believe, a form of communication, be it satellite or some other form of communication that is only theirs. And Calliope, I believe is how you pronounce that. Lots of people told me I pronounced it incorrectly in the last video I mentioned this in. So I think that is correct, Calliope. And they said, I can't believe you've never heard of this. Nope, sorry. Calliope Tower, prepare to welcome delegates and receive instructions via Lost Lullaby. So I'm wondering what this is referring to. Now, this is actually, I believe, on the grounds of Bohemian Grove. I believe that. And to me, this kind of looks like a pig because of the nose, but the hands are human. I don't know. Now, there's WAV files associated with these, but I don't play them because I'm very sensitive to music or stuff like that. I'm just very, very sensitive. And I don't know, like I can't listen to some of the music that's out there today just because bothers my spirit. So I just didn't want to listen to it because I don't know what the noises are, and that concerns me. So there you go. Now, up here, let me just check something here. I want to just go back here for a second. Indulge me for a minute, if you will, because I wanted to come down here and I wanted to see the G7 that was in Florence, Italy. And okay, the Arch of Baal was recently displayed at the National Mall. Okay, this is the one. UN General Assembly. I wonder if this has to do with the UN General Assembly, but the dates don't. Oops. The dates don't really line up because this is September 8th, because it says prepare to welcome delegates and receive instructions via Lost Lullaby. So let me know what you guys think that she's talking about here, and we can brainstorm on this. So, and I believe this is communication, Calliope Tower. I think that's a form of communication. And Lost Lullaby, not sure, could be a satellite. This has to do with their communication system. I know that for a fact. All right, now we're going to go on to October. And it says, Elspeth rising under a thief's moon. Elspeth sings her hateful song. Fever takes the judge. This was posted on October 31st, 2018. Now, I looked at the world events that happened on that day. Nothing jumped out at me and hit me in the face or anything, but Elspeth, let me see, because it doesn't seem like I've, let me see here. 1 second. Elspeth. I've seen that name before too. Elspeth. Okay, let me see here if we see anything. Who is Elspeth? Feminine name is a feminine given name, which is Scottish form of Elizabeth. It means chosen by God or consecrated by God. But I don't know who killed Elspeth. Okay, I don't know. This is from Journey's End, Magic the Gathering. I don't know. I don't know who she is. It seems to me that I've searched for that before, and I don't know. But let's go back here. And it says, Elspeth rising. Under a thieves' moon, Elspeth sings her hateful song. Fever takes the judge. Interesting. And something I noticed in some of these posts are something that I notice in Donald Trump's tweets. Not that I'm saying this is related, but look at here, under a thieves' moon. Well, you should be capitalized because it's the start of a sentence, but thieves' moon shouldn't be unless it's a place or a person but I really, I'm not sure. It really shouldn't be. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I wonder if there's messages beyond the messages, if you understand what I mean. Because just like Donald Trump's tweets, how he will say one thing and most everyone thinks they know what he's saying, but those of us that have been in this, and listening to Q posts since 2017, we read them a little differently because we look at letters he left out, letters that are capitalized that shouldn't need to be capitalized, and things like that. And so I wonder, because I've noticed that in several posts where something is capitalized that really shouldn't be, and it looks out of place. And I don't think that these are errors. I think that they are purposeful errors. Now, let's come down to this one because I believe it was posted on the same day or the day before, October 30th. Now, this is the same post as 2016 or very similar to it. So we've looked at this before. This is the night before Halloween and 2018. And it says this word right here, winter, and I'm not even sure how to pronounce it, but that is an old word that means, let me see. Now I've forgotten what it means. I think, okay, now I'm going to have to look it up again. I thought I remembered, but I didn't. Winter. How do you pronounce that, or how do you say that? Sorry, winter, F-Y-L-L. Okay. Was the Anglo-Saxon or Old English name for the month of October. Okay, yeah, of course I remember now that I look it up. It marked and celebrated the beginning of winter. They called the month when the winter season began, whatever this word is, I can't pronounce that, a word composed of winter and full moon because winter began on the first full moon of that month. So that is for the month of October. Now, let's go back here. And so basically this says, in October, it is our custom that many will journey to this side of the veil. So she is on this side of the veil on earth. So she's talking about the dead journeying to this side of the veil. And how they do that, I don't know. Are they conjuring them up? I have no idea. You will instruct Nettie to open the 7 gates and withdraw his hounds that our visitors may pass. Now, remember the story of the sisters, and the one was queen, and they were both goddesses. Nettie, we're going to go through who this is. In Sumerian Babylon, Nettie is a minor god of the underworld. He is the chief gatekeeper of the netherworld and the servant of the goddess Kigal. Probably mangled that. Nettie features prominently in the epic legend of Inanna's descent into the underworld when he opens the 7 gates of the realm and admits the goddess, removing one emblem of her power at the threshold of each gate until she is ultimately left naked and powerless. Remember that story from the one where we covered the 2016 post? And there was the 2 goddesses, they were sisters, and Inanna was the one that was had to go through these gates, and after each gate she had to remove something, and by the time she got through the 7th gate she was standing before her sister Ereshkigal, and she was completely naked and powerless. So that is the story of that. So what she's saying is, in October it is our custom that many will journey to this side of the veil, this side, the living side. You will instruct Nettie, who is the gatekeeper of hell, to open the 7 gates and withdraw his hounds. I mean, you've heard that expression, the hounds of hell. That is, biblically, there's no reference to hounds of hell, but a lot of people make reference to them. So you will journey to this side of the veil. You will instruct Nettie to open the 7 gates and withdraw his hounds, that our visitors may pass. So she's saying to Nettie, look, you know what? Open the gates so these guys that are dead can journey to this side of the veil. And this is October 30th. So Halloween is the next day. And that is the story. And of course, this has been posted before, and Ereshkigal, Queen of the Great Earth, was the goddess of Ker, the land of the dead, and underworld in Sumerian mythology. In later East Semitic myth, she was said to rule Urkala alongside her husband Nergal. Sometimes her name is given as Urkala, similar to the way the name Hades was used in Greek mythology for both the underworld and its ruler, and sometimes it is given Ninagal, literally Lady of the Great Earth. So there you go. That is what she is talking about. And it says in Sumerian myths, Ereshkigal was the only one who could pass judgment and give laws in her kingdom. The main temple dedicated to her was located in Kutha. In ancient Sumerian poem, Inanna's descent to the underworld, Ereshkigal is described as Inanna's older sister. The 2 main myths involving Ereshkigal are the story of Inanna's descent into the underworld and the story of Ereshkigal's marriage to the god Nergal. So that is what that is about, and I'm pretty sure that is the correct interpretation. Now, we are on to this one. And again, I'm stuck with, The master remembers. Forgotten tongue from a faraway land, hogs remember and understand. The master remembers, his call fills the air. Cloven hooves dance at the high street fair. Beastie snouts rise to the sweet refrain of Rupert's ancient song in the pouring rain. So here we have reference to the name Rupert again, and we've got pigs and this beastie fair, which was mentioned in the last post, either 2017 or 2016. They're all running together now. I don't know what this means. I would like to say that I know, but I've been searching and searching and searching, and I can't find anything that would. And obviously, this is meant for the people that it's meant for, and not meant for us, and not meant to be understood by us. But I don't know. If any of you guys have any ideas, let me know. And this was posted on October 19th, 2018. October 19th, 2018. So please put it in the comments below if you have any. I'll tell you what I think. The beastie snouts rise to the sweet refrain, and cloven hoofs dance at the high street fair. I don't know, but I have my own ideas, but I don't want to put them on anyone right now because I'd like to know what you guys think of this. If I could decode it, I would, but I can't, so I won't. All right, here is the next one. Dublin Tower. GLAMS fully supports the Tuam Babies Family Group, and we issue a pointed directive. Full excavation of all Tuam burial sites, full disclosure and full transparency. This must include DNA testing and respectful recovery of the precious human remains. Bear in mind that failure to comply with a GLAMS directive will bring dire consequences. And this is October 18th, 2018. And what is she talking about? She's talking about this. Ireland's House of Tears, why Tuam's, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, survivors want justice for lost and abused children. A harrowing discovery in Ireland casts light on the Catholic Church's history of abusing unwed mothers and their babies, and emboldened survivors demand accountability. So let's come down here. In a small meeting room on the second floor of the Coralia Court Hotel, Patrick McDonough tells the story in a rushed confession. It was the way everything was covered up, the way they got rid of me. I was born there. I was there until 6.5, says a 63-year-old. He leans forward as he speaks in a hushed voice. On either side of him, others listen, their faces expressionless. They too will have their turn to reveal what few of them have spoken about before. It is early April in Tuam, a town roughly 35 kilometers north of Galway in Western Ireland. Downstairs, a restaurant manager has taped childish cardboard posters of bunny rabbits and painted eggs on the walls and windows, like a dad doing his best to provide a little Easter holiday cheer for his family. Tuam is a close-knit community with a population of roughly 8,000. People will raise their hands or nod their heads in greeting to each other on the street or in a bar, and some will duck into darkened passageways to let a stranger pass so she can be observed. But in the hotel's Mitra room, where McDonough and about 30 people have gathered, few know each other, which is both surprising and disconcerting. Many of them spent their first 6 or 7 years of their lives together. They lived in a former home called St. Mary's that was situated less than a kilometer away on the periphery of the town. St. Mary's, which closed in 1961 and was demolished less than 10 years later, was commonly referred to as a mother and baby home, one of several set up across Ireland in the first half of the 20th century. It was run by the Bon Secours Order of None under the direction of the local authority, Galway County Council. It sounds cozy, a place of swaddling blankets, sweet baby scents, and warm milk, but the reality was horrific. There were homes of abuse and neglect, places of forced confinement for the mothers, and where babies were allowed to die, murdered in effect. Kevin Higgins, a lawyer familiar with the issue, says the deaths were at least manslaughter. One Irish newspaper has called the scandal "Our Little Holocaust." The reason for the homes was simple and rarely questioned at the time. The mothers were unwed. Their children, often called devil's spawn, set up by the government and run by Catholic religious orders. The mother and baby homes were part of a system to deal with the perceived shame of illegitimate children and the women who bore them. The people in the room who were born there call themselves survivors. They have a peculiar mien that sets them apart, a certain meekness, a fragility, a quiet bewilderment in their acceptance of what they had no choice but to endure. But of late, a group dynamic has emboldened them. They have begun to search for justice and an acknowledgement of what happened to them. As with so many atrocities, the responsibility is shared by many, the government and the church, says one survivor. I think they're both responsible. We were under their care. The state paid the nuns to care for us. Family members and people in the local communities often knew what was going on but did nothing. On this occasion, in the Mitra room, the survivors have gathered on invitation from the Minister of Children and Youth Affairs. This is the first time the government has expressed interest in coming to hear the survivors speak in the town that marked them years ago. Now, I think the whole situation, that Somerset is referring to is the fact that there were remains found and there were murders committed there, and the remains are on the ground, and the remains of some of the children that were born there are on the ground, and Somerset is calling for full excavation with DNA to determine who these people are and how they died, I guess, although that would be very, very difficult to determine, this far, advanced. But let's see if they're talking at all about the excavations. Okay. And they're not, but this is easy to find information on this, and it's pretty horrific. Like, I have read several things about this prior to this coming up. So, yeah, it's very sad. But that is what it's referring to, and there's no way I can read all this. I mean, I could, but we'd be here until tomorrow. All right, so let's go back. That is exactly what she's talking about. And Dublin Tower, of course, it happened in Ireland. So that's what they're wanting. They're wanting DNA testing, respectful recovery of human remains, and full disclosure and full transparency. And that would be a good thing. All right, now we're on to the next one, and we're still in October, busy month. Brazil, the upper chamber supports Jair Bolsonaro. We congratulate you on your pending victory. And of course, he did, in fact, well, let me show you instead of just tell you. Okay, that's him. And let me see if it tells you when he took office. I thought it did. October 28th, 2018. Okay, let me go back here. October 7th, voters cast ballots in the first round of elections. Although Bolsonaro wins more votes than Haddad, he doesn't surpass the 50% threshold. A runoff is set for later in the month. October 28th, 2018, Bolsonaro wins the runoff. The final tally shows Bolsonaro with 55.13% and Haddad with 44.87%. So, and then January 1st, 2019, he is sworn into office. So if this was written in advance, then we've got something there. But if it was written after the fact and backdated, then of course we don't. But here's my thoughts. Think about trying to construct something like this as a LARP. Think of how many things we've touched on, world events we've touched on, that somebody would have to go back and, not the easiest thing. So if this is a LARP, it's a very sophisticated one, is what I'm saying. And also, some people kind of were upset about, in the last video, about the chemical attack. Look, you know what? We are looking at what they are saying, not we know the truth, okay? We know the truth of what happened there, but I was looking at what she is saying, which maybe can tell us a great deal about where she might be coming from and why. So look at it that way. Now, we're up to November 2018, and we only have one to go after this. And this says Cathedral Frequency Update. And I believe that the cathedral is located remember either Luxembourg or Brussels. I can't remember, but it's one of those. Shift will occur in 48 hours. Davenport Tower maintain, I've never known how to pronounce that word, but it is a flower, position on Canterbury Line. So this has to do with their communications. Obviously, they're saying that the cathedral is going to, the cathedral tower, I believe it's called somewhere, that the frequency is going to be updated to a different frequency, and the shift will occur in 48 hours. And it says the Davenport Tower will maintain the high, I can't pronounce this word. It's a flower, Hyacinth. I've seen that written so many times, I've never known how to pronounce it. Position on Canterbury Line. So this has to do with their communications, and I don't think there's too much there that we need to concern ourselves with. That was posted on November 21st, 2018. And here she is giving an update. And this is very interesting. The Shadow Lion is afoot, and satellite system architecture upgrades will commence shortly. This scheduled overhaul of key components includes upgrades to LRIT, Vibe satellite, and DarkCom systems. Upgrades are intended to support enhanced integration with ForceNet and other elements of the global information grid, a greater degree of stability for space and terrestrial transmissions, as well as improved parallel frequencies when communicating between vibrational planes. For thorough treatment of LRIT requirements, refer to Regulation V19-1 of the SOLAS Convention of 1-1-2008 and Resolution MSC.27585 of the Maritime Safety Committee. Governance and controls. IMSO testing will follow upgrades to ensure effective operations. Wetton World Tech Office will oversee upgrades, and the upper chamber will review IMSO audit documentation. As head of Wetton's Operations and Security Office and head of the World Governing Council, GLOMS will perform independent testing of Vibe satellite and DarkCom systems via the Trans-Vibrational Subtle Horizon node with validation input from quantum outpost entities across ethereal dimensions. So this is all having to do with their communication grid worldwide, not just with terrestrial, which means the communications on Earth, but also space. So, this is a little bit, out of my league in terms of being able to, and probably if I spent more time on this, I could probably, get more information, and I may do that. But let me see, I've got this, and let me see what this is. Oh, this is ForceNet. I wanted to look up some of these things to see if they were real. Everything else I've looked up via like the VibeSat and all that stuff. Yeah, they're real. It's real. But let's take a look at this. This is ForceNet. Is the operational construct and architectural framework for naval warfare in the information age, which integrates warriors, sensors, networks, command and control platforms, and weapons into a networked, distributed combat force scalable across the spectrum of conflict from seabed to space and sea to land. The goal of ForceNet is to arm U.S. forces with superior knowledge, leading to increased combat power. In pursuit of this goal, ForceNet will provide a comprehensive network of sensors, analysis tools, and decision aids to support the full array of naval activities, from combat operations to logistics and personnel development. The focused, timely, and accurate data delivered by ForceNet will help leaders at every level by allowing them to draw on vast amounts of information and share the resultant understanding. This will increase the joint forces' ability to synchronize activities through the space battle or the battle space to achieve the greatest impact. Do you see where all of this is setting up a framework where this becomes, I hate to quote Alex Jones, but he's right. This is a prison planet, and you can see the grid going in where that's how I look at this anyway. That's how it's a little frightening that all this stuff is so interconnected now. And here's the thing. This is from globalsecurity.org. Here's the thing here. Who even knows about this? I mean, maybe if you're in, the armed forces, but that's the thing. A lot of these things mentioned, like this post alone, can you just imagine what it would be like to just make this up? And everything in it is real. Like these satellites are real and all of this, it's real. So, and she calls it, upgrades are intended to support enhanced integration with ForceNet and other elements of the global information grid. Global information grid. ForceNet, obviously part of the Navy. Very, very interesting. A greater degree of stability for space and terrestrial transmissions, as well as improved parallel frequencies. Now, I would like to know what that means. Parallel frequencies when communicating between vibrational planes. If any of you guys are physicists or know exactly what that means, no weird out there stuff. I mean, talking about facts here. I would like, to know what the science is to this, if anyone knows, and possibly somebody out there does. So this is very interesting. This is probably the most interesting post, if you ask me, because it's just very, very questionable. And the shadow lion is afoot, and satellite system architecture upgrades will commence shortly. So what does that mean? That, well, obviously they're updating the satellite system, and upgrades are going to begin shortly. And this is an overhaul of key components. And Vibe satellite, that's real. Dark comm systems, I'm not sure what that is. I think I tried to look that up, but let's see. See, I don't know. I'm getting all this stuff from Amazon and Darkcom Tech. Okay. Darkcom Tech is the web dedicated to the development of tools and tips for the improvement of projects made in Unity. I don't think that's what it's talking about. I don't know. It's definitely not talking about bathing suits. So I don't know why it's giving me all this sponsored information. I don't know. I think I tried to look this up before and did not have any success, but no doubt this is a very interesting post that bears more looking into. So we're going to go now. This was posted November 20th, 2018. November 20th, 2018. So next we come to November 17th, and very strange. It's called Devour Thy Neighbor. Devour Thy Neighbor. Pig sticker tool, long and sleek, swift judgment in store for the lazy and the weak. Release pink souls with his shiny, sharp tool. Devour thy neighbor is the golden rule. Actually, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And this is posted November. It's interesting, but Do I know what it means? No. I don't think we are meant to know exactly what it means, but of course, we know what devour thy neighbor means. So I'm thinking that it is along those lines. All right. And that kind of meat, of course, is called long pork. I don't know if that ties into any of this, but it's interesting. Disgusting. All right, and December 2018, this is the last post for 2018. And in the next video, we're going to get into 2019, but that'll be a few days because I haven't researched it yet. And in the meantime, I'll just keep up with news and so forth, and any Q posts. All right, December 2018, Block Island disaster. Illuminate the Palatine lights. Captain George Long and Andrew Brooke contact ship's master Samuel Marchant on forgotten frequency. You must return to the depths. Now this is interesting. Illuminate the Palatine lights. Captain George Long, real person, and Andrew Brooke, real person, contact ship's master Samuel Marchant, dead, on forgotten frequency. You must return to the depths. Interesting, but what does it mean? This was posted December 27th, 2018. Well, a palatine, or palantinus in Latin, plural, is a high-level official attached to imperial or royal courts in Europe since Roman times. The term Palatinus was first used in ancient Rome for chamberlains of the emperor due to their associations with the Palatine Hill. And let's look here. That is the definition. And let me see this. Very tiny. I don't know why that is so tiny. Teeny, teeny, tiny. All right. Okay, the Palatine light. This is interesting. The Palatine light is an apparition reported near Block Island, Rhode Island, said to be the ghost ship of a lost 18th century vessel named the Palatine. The folklore account is based on the historical wreck of the Princess Augusta. Now, it was either in 2017 or 2016 that we covered this very, very thing. So the historical wreck of the Princess Augusta in 1738, which became known as the Palatine in 19th century accounts, including John Greenleaf Whittier's poem, The Palatine. And it says, the legend is derived from the historical shipwreck of the Princess Augusta at Block Island in 1738. The ship is known for some near contemporary accounts and from depositions taken from the surviving crew after the wreck, which were discovered in 1925 and reprinted in 1939. The 220-ton British ship Augusta sailed from Rotterdam in August 1738 under Captain George Long and a crew of 14 transporting 240 immigrants to English colonies in America. The passengers were German Palatines, natives of the Palatinate region, and as such, the ship was described as the Palatine ship. In contemporaneous documents which account for the latter confusion over its name, the ship was heading for Philadelphia. From there, the passengers may have intended to reach a German-owned settlement on the James River in Virginia, which attracted some 3,000 of their countrymen. The Princess Augusta voyage was beset by terrible luck. The water supply was contaminated, causing a fever and flux that killed 200 of the passengers, half the crew, including Captain Long. First mate Andrew Brooke took command as severe storms pushed the ship off course to the north, where survivors spent 3 months enduring extreme weather and depleted stores. According to the crew's depositions, Brooke forced the passengers to pay for the remaining rations. He evidently tried different routes to Rhode Island and Philadelphia, but the gales pushed the damaged and leaking Augusta to Block Island. It wrecked amid a snowstorm at Sandy Point on the island's northernmost end at 2 p.m. December 27th. So she's commemorating that, obviously. So, yeah, and seems to me there was, let me see, who is the other person that it makes reference to? Excuse me for a minute here. Master Samuel Marchant, and I don't see him anywhere in this story. Hang on, Control F. No. So it seems to me I had looked up who he was, and he was from an entirely different era. So I don't know. Let me see if I've got it here. Of course not. So let's see here. Hang on. We'll look it up real fast. Oops. Is that how you spell Samuel? It doesn't look right. Oh, it must be an A. No. I don't know. Oh, today's not my day, I guess. Where is it now? I just don't want to miss something really important. Sam, U-E-L. Yeah, U-E-L. There we go. Still doesn't look right to me, but now who was this? Okay, Samuel Marchant, London, Greater London, United Kingdom. Yeah, I remember looking at this. See, it's right here. I tried to, that's a Twitter account, and I looked at that. I don't think I could find who exactly he was. So whatever, let's go back here. Illuminate the Palatine lights, and these are lights that people have seen since the wreck. Captain George Long and Andrew Brooke contact ship's master Samuel Marchant on forgotten frequency. You must return to the depths. Now, obviously, they're since the Palatine lights are, let me see here where I had that. Ta-da. Okay, it's an apparition reported near Block Island. Okay, so these are called the Palatine light. And so she's saying to these deceased souls, she is saying, illuminate these lights. And then she's saying to Captain George Long and Andrew Brooke, contact ship's master Samuel Marchant on forgotten frequency. So these people are dead unless they are standing in for, you know what I'm saying? Unless they're symbolic of something else. I don't know. But it's interesting because that disaster happened on December 27th, exactly the day that this was posted, if the dating is correct. All right. So let's move on. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, hang on. Yeah. Okay. Now this is interesting. This is called Butterfield 4391. This is another one that I spent a long time on. So if any of you know what that means, Butterfield 4391, let me know. Now it says audio from the other side. I didn't listen to it because I don't want to hear audio from the other side. When searching into the past to find valid information, we are sometimes able to connect momentarily using VibeSat technology developed by our Bedlam team. This is possible when vibrational parity exists between planes, but eventually the frequency becomes unstable and the signal is lost. Stella Daniels has brought us a long way, and we appreciate her visionary work. In the coming weeks, we will see improvement in stability of our most useful VibeSat frequencies and a significant improvement in vibrational parity. As we learn to manipulate the time curvature, many thanks to our friends from Bedlam who have given so much that we might advance so far. Special thanks to Miss Vanessa Payne, who made the ultimate sacrifice, which means death, and continues to assist us from her new assignment location on the lower astral. So although she has passed, she is still assisting them. Your work, your talents, and your dedication are all noted and much appreciated, Somerset Belanoff. Now, this is interesting because to me, she is saying that they have found a way to, using frequencies, to communicate with those who have gone before. That's what I believe this is talking about. I don't understand all the technical things like, what did she say here? Vibrational parity exists between planes, but eventually the frequency becomes unstable and the signal is lost. They're working on keeping that frequency stable so their communication is more stable. And it says, in the coming weeks, we will see improvement in stability of our most useful VibeSat frequencies, and VibeSat is a satellite, and yes, it does exist, frequencies, and a significant improvement in vibrational parity as we learn to manipulate the time curvature. Now, this is interesting, and to me, it sounds like looking glass stuff. I don't know, but look up Project Looking Glass. There is a rabbit hole, if ever there was one. But I think that I think it's pretty straightforward what they're talking about, actually, sort of. But then not really. If you understand all the technical stuff they're talking about, then it would be more understandable. But to me, I don't understand how they're doing this. They're communicating via some frequency with this satellite, and they're saying that there's vibrational parity between the planes, and somehow this aids in communication. They're trying to work to keep it stable so that they can better communicate. But I believe what they're doing is communicating with the dead, because this person said, Somerset Belanoff said she had paid the ultimate sacrifice, but was still assisting them. So obviously they are communicating with the dead. Well, I don't believe that. Well, we'll leave that because that's a whole other can of worms. Okay, and then of course there's a picture of a door, 13. There's a door and the letter 13. All right, and that was posted on December 19th. All right, now we get to the next. And again, we have this sort of rhyming, bite and bleed. Rupert the Simple is a full-grown man, whistle in his mouth, pig sticker in his hand. Rooting with the grunters, he'll spill his seed. At the High Street Fair, he'll bite and bleed. So now, rooting with the grunters, he'll spill his seed. When someone spills their seed, that is actually a biblical term, and it means ejaculation. So that is what they're talking about there. There is no question in my mind, because that is, if you're used to reading the Bible, then that is very familiar to you. He'll spill his seed. So rooting with the grunters, so that's going to rooting with the grunters is going to cause him to ejaculate. So I don't know. He's a full-grown man. He's got a whistle in his mouth. He's got a pig sticker in his hand. Whatever that is that a knife? I don't know. He'll bite and bleed. I don't know. So that's that. I'm a little afraid to know what that means, to tell you the truth. That was posted on December 14th, 2018. Now, that is the end of 2018. So we still have 2019 and 2020 to go through. So that'll be at least 2 more videos on this subject, possibly more. And I'm going to stay on this no matter what anybody says, unless it feels too dangerous to continue, and then I will stop. But yeah, so you can check back. I can pretty much guarantee you it's not going to be tomorrow that I'll do another video on this, but possibly the next day. All right. So that is that, and stay tuned because I'm coming with another video. Won't be on this topic, but another video tonight. All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all you do, and I appreciate your encouragement and also your support. So thank you, and you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth because deception bites.